Novak Djokovic set to be detained once again after his visa was cancelled for a second time.
The Sunshine State reopens to the rest of the country without restrictions.
A second high-profile apology. Downing Street says sorry to the Queen following an illegal party on the eve of her late husband's funeral.
Yep. Oh, takes it. That is brilliant.
A Travis Head century gets Australia out of trouble on day one of the Hobart Test.
Plus, making her mark, we speak with the Māori newsreader breaking barriers on primetime TV.
And comedy in the time of COVID. Cancelled gigs for stand-up comics back online.
Good morning, it's Saturday the 15th of January. I'm Dan Borsha.
And I'm Joanna Nicholson. You're watching Weekend Breakfast, coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. It's great to have your company this morning. World number one Novak Djokovic is fighting to stay in the country after his visa was cancelled for a second time in a week. Immigration Minister Alex Hawke cancelled the tennis star's visa yesterday afternoon, arguing it was in the public interest.
Djokovic's lawyers lodged an urgent late-night appeal, with the judge ruling he cannot be deported while the legal challenge is underway. But Djokovic will likely be detained once again after a meeting with immigration officials in less than an hour. The decision has thrown the tennis star's quest for a 10th Australian Open into turmoil.
Australia has adopted very tough laws in respect of COVID. We all know that over the last 2 years. On the other hand, the poor handling of this matter will also be highlighted internationally. As we know, 4 other people entered Australia without having their visas cancelled when they entered through the airport, who entered on the basis of the same exemption that Mr. Djokovic used, but they were not stopped at the airport. They have subsequently left Australia, but the question that must arise is, was the policy changed on the 6th of January targeting just Mr. Djokovic?
The public interest grounds that the Immigration Minister used to cancel his visa are vague. The court won't be deciding whether the decision was reasonable, but rather whether the Minister missed a crucial detail or failed to apply the law correctly. Because the power is so broad, that will be hard to conclude, but not impossible.
There's no real precedent, but I can say that a large number of cases made personally by the Minister under this power or on character grounds are overturned in the courts. So there is a risk in this case that the court will find there is an error of law and overturn or quash the decision of the Minister.
Serbia's president has reacted furiously, saying he is stunned by the decision. Aleksandar Vučić has questioned why Djokovic was allowed into the country in the first place.
If you wanted to ban Djokovic from winning his 10th trophy in Melbourne, why didn't you send him back immediately? Why didn't you tell him that it's impossible to get a visa for your country in the first place? Why are you harassing and persecuting him? Not only him, his family too, and the whole of his nation, which is a free nation and a proud nation. Is this all needed for you to win some elections? Is this needed for you to be liked among your public? Well, here is a president of one very small country who dares to say all this to the Prime Minister of one really big country. You know why I say this? Because we are telling the truth. And you also know that I'm telling the truth.
Queensland's border barricades have been dismantled, with the state now open for restriction-free travel. People entering from interstate via road or air will no longer have to fill out a declaration form or provide a negative COVID test. There will also be no more quarantining for domestic travellers. Restrictions were due to be lifted when the state hits 90% double vaccination, but Chief Health Officer John Gerard says the work has been done and the borders can open early. Restrictions on international travel will remain in place until a 90% double vaccination rate has been achieved.
GPs in Western Australia have been swamped by vaccine bookings after the Premier announced strict restrictions for the unvaccinated from the 31st of January. Proof of being double vaccinated will be required for all hospitality venues, gyms, bottle shops and for visitors to hospitals and aged care. It comes after the state recorded one new COVID-19 infection, a child who was a household contact of a previously positive case.
The Hillsong Church has issued an apology after a video surfaced of a youth camp in the New South Wales Hunter region. In the video, hundreds of unmasked participants can be seen singing and dancing inside a large tent. Police have confirmed the organisation will not be fined despite health authorities labelling the event a breach of COVID-19 rules.
Britain's Foreign Secretary has thrown her support behind Prime Minister Boris Johnson following allegations government MPs were holding parties while the country was under strict restrictions in 2021. It's now been revealed a party was held inside the Prime Minister's office last April, the day before Prince Philip's funeral. It comes a day after Mr Johnson was forced to apologise for attending a gathering in the garden of number 10 Downing Street in May 2020.
I 100% support him to continue getting on with the job. And what people want is they want to see us working to deliver for the people of the United Kingdom. My priority is sorting out the Northern Ireland Protocol. Of course, we need to get on as well with the recovery from COVID, building the economy, and I think that's what people want to see us focus on.
The British public has welcomed the stripping of Prince Andrew's royal and military titles. The Prince has been effectively removed from all his connections as a working royal as he faces a civil sexual assault case in the US. Prince Andrew has repeatedly denied allegations he sexually abused Virginia Giuffre when she was underage and being trafficked by the late financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, it probably was the right thing to do in terms of the public perception of Prince Andrew, what he's been accused of and the allegations.
I think it's right that he doesn't enjoy these kind of titles.
I think it's a little bit of lip service to try and show the people that they're listening, they understand what he's done could be perceived as wrong, that the royals aren't untouchable.
Ukrainian residents say they're readying themselves for a war with Russia following a cyber attack on a number of government websites. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack, but many are blaming Russia amid heightened tensions between the two countries.
My personal attitude to the cyber attack is positive because it reminds us that we live during wartime, that Russia is an enemy who would kill us physically. That is why we must always remember it, and we must be ready to drown Russians who will occupy our land so they will know their place on their territory, but not on ours.
And the US has accused Russia of placing saboteurs in Ukraine to carry out a false flag operation to use as a pretext for an attack. It comes after talks between Moscow and the West failed to make any significant progress this week.
I can say the 100% of the guarantee that if it's happened, I mean aggressions, the majority of the people in Ukraine will be defend our country.
Right, Daniela Intilli joins us now with sport. Danny, the Australian Open still in turmoil.
It's like another day, another drama. They say no player is bigger than a tournament, but this really has overshadowed the Australian Open. It's been in the global headlines for more than a week. I had a radio station in Italy contact me yesterday wanting to do an interview from Rome, but that's how significant it is. It's not a good look for the Australian Open. Andy Murray, the latest to come on board, saying it's not a good look. We know how much he loves the Australian Open and, of course, the draw having to be rescheduled. But until the end's over, we really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And Danny, Travis Head saves the day for Australia in the Ashes.
Oh, thank goodness it was such a disastrous start. A century from Travis Head has saved Australia on a rain of affected opening day of the 5th Ashes Test against England in Hobart. Head missed the 4th Test in Sydney after testing positive to COVID-19 and came to the crease with Australia struggling at 3 for 12. He produced a 121-run partnership with Cameron Green before being dismissed for 101. Head's second century of the series came off 112 deliveries. Green fell for 74 with play ending after a rain delay late at night in Australia on 6 for 241. A COVID-affected Melbourne side has beaten Richmond by 16 points in round 2 of the AFLW. Richmond fought back from a 26-point deficit at half-time, kicking 4 goals after the main break, but the D's were too strong in the end, winning by 16 points for back-to-back wins. Melbourne's Alyssa Bannon, Taylor Harris and Kate Hall starred with 2 goals each. In the WNBL, the Perth Lynx have defeated the Canberra Capitals at home by 19 points at the Canberra Convention Centre. The visitors led at every break thanks to the scoring of Marina Maybury, who finished with a game-high 27 points and 6 rebounds. The match was a milestone for Canberra's Kelly Wilson, who's become the first WNBL player to play 400 games. Queenslander Jed Morgan will enter the 3rd round of the Australian PGA Championship with a 6-shot lead. The 21-year-old broke the course record at Royal Queensland after scoring a blistering 8 under par 63 to move to a total of 14 under. It's a close affair in the women's draw, with Grace Kim scoring 3 under par to hold just a 1-shot lead over Sue O. And for more sports news and analysis, including the latest on the tennis and the Ashes, check out abc.net.au/sport. It's been a very busy day so far.
Yeah, busy weekend for you for sure. Thanks, Danny. See you later.